Assalamu alaikum and very good morning. My dear students, I hope you all are fine and safe. I am Najb Uddin. I have again come to take your science class.
Everybody please open your science book. Today we will discuss about chapter 5 photosynthesis. In this chapter we will discuss lesson 3 to 6. Our today's topic is process of photosynthesis. Before starting our today's class, I want to ask you some questions from previous lesson. First question, which part considered as the main part for photosynthesis? Yes, answer is leaf. Leaf is considered as main part for photosynthesis. Now, question number 2. What is photosynthesis? I hope you can tell the answer. So, what is the definition of photosynthesis? The process by which green plants prepare their own food in presence of sunlight is called photosynthesis. Now, let's start our today's lesson, lesson 3 to 6. Terrestrial plants absorb water from ground through their root hair. Terrestrial plants mean the plants which grow on land. They are called terrestrial plants, and terrestrial plants they absorb water from ground through their root hair. So through root hair they absorb water. Now, submerged plants. Submerged plants which collect water through their body surface. The plants which grow inside water, they are called submerged plant, and they are also aquatic plants. So, the plants which grow inside water, they are submerged plant or aquatic plants. Submerged plants collect water through their body surface. For photosynthesis, sunlight is an indispensable factor. Indispensable means essential. That means sunlight is an essential factor for photosynthesis, and sun is the main source of light. During photosynthesis, carbon dioxide gas from the air enters the plant through stomata. There, carbon dioxide and water inside the cell take part in chemical reaction to produce glucose. This glucose is produced using the energy that has been trapped from sunlight by chlorophylls. So, we can see in the picture that there is a small hole inside the leaf, and that is called stomata. And through this stomata, gaseous exchange, that means carbon dioxide is absorbed in the leaf and oxygen is released after the process of photosynthesis. So, what is called stomata? Stomata are tiny openings or pores in plant tissue that allow for gas exchange. Specialized cells known as guard cell surround stomata and function to open and close stomatal pores. Stomata allow a plant to take in carbon dioxide, which is needed for photosynthesis. Now, what is chlorophyll? Chlorophyll in plants. Chlorophyll is the green pigmentation or pigment in leaves that help plants to absorb or trap light energy from the sun to make food. So, we have understood that chlorophyll trap the energy from sunlight. We can see in the picture that in the leaves there are some chlorophyll cell. The process of photosynthesis can be explained by the chemical reaction. We can see in the screen there are word equation and symbol equation of photosynthesis reaction. In the leaf of plant, there are carbon dioxide and water present. So when carbon dioxide and water react each other and they take part in chemical reaction in presence of sunlight and chlorophyll, then produce glucose and oxygen. We can see there is formula of carbon dioxide is CO2 and formula of water is H2O, and glucose formula is C6H12O6 and oxygen is O2. In this reaction, 6 molecule of carbon dioxide take part in reaction with 6 molecule of water in presence of sunlight and chlorophyll and produce glucose, which formula is C6H12O6, and also produce 6 molecule oxygen. So in this reaction, carbon dioxide and water take part in reaction. That's why they are called reactants. And in this reaction, the products are glucose and oxygen. In this reaction, glucose is main product and oxygen is byproduct. So the substance which is taken as food by plant, that is glucose, which is main product, and oxygen is byproduct, because oxygen is released in the atmosphere after photosynthesis process. That's why oxygen is byproduct and glucose is main product of photosynthesis process. Photosynthesis process occurs in two phases. The two phases are light or photophase and dark phase. Photosynthesis reactions occur in two reactions, light reactions and dark reactions. In light reactions, light needed to produce organic energy molecules like ATP and NADPH. And in dark reactions, no light is needed. Instead, dark reactions use ATP and NADPH to produce energy molecules. You will learn about these phases in details in higher classes. Let's enjoy a video on photosynthesis process.
Photosynthesis is the process by which green plants and certain other autotrophic organisms manufacture their own food material in the form of carbohydrates from carbon dioxide and water in the presence of chlorophyll and sunlight through a complex series of reactions within the organism. In other words, it is a process of converting light energy to chemical energy. Photosynthesis takes place inside cellular organelles called chloroplasts, which contain abundant photosynthetic pigments called chlorophyll. Chloroplasts are found in abundance in green leaves and are therefore the major site of photosynthesis in plants. Gaseous oxygen is a major byproduct of the process of photosynthesis. The chemical reactions that take place in this process may be summarized as follows. Photosynthesis occurs in two major steps, both of which take place within the chloroplasts: a light reaction and a dark reaction. Starch is eventually formed as a reserve food by plants at the end of a photosynthetic process.
Now let's enjoy another video on how plants produce food.
Hello kids, do you know how plants make their own food? No? Well, this video elaborates the process of photosynthesis, by which plants make their own food. Photosynthesis is the process used by plants to make their own food, or in more complex terms, it is the conversion of light energy into chemical energy by plants. This chemical energy is used by the plants for growth and nourishment. Photo means light and synthesis means putting together in Greek. When humans cook food, some essential things are required, including fire, water, vegetables, etc. Similarly, to make their food, plants also need some essential factors, including light, water, nutrients, soil, etc. Plants get light from the sun, water from the ground, and carbon dioxide from the air. All of these factors, including air, water, carbon dioxide, and sunlight together help plants churn out their own food. Plants have tubes called xylem located in the stems through which the water from the ground is sucked into the leaves. This system works similar to humans sucking liquids through a straw. The xylem is spread throughout the different parts of the plant, including the stem, branches, and all the way up to the leaves. The xylem transports vital nutrients to the entire plant. Xylems in the plant are like blood vessels in the human body that act as an important means of transportation of water and nutrients. Leaves on the plant have pores, very similar to the pores on the skin of our bodies. These pores are called stomata. These stomata are responsible for the exchange of gases. The carbon dioxide present in the air, which is responsible for photosynthesis, enters the plant through these stomata. Oxygen also comes out through these stomata. Leaves have important cells called mesophyll cells. These cells contain a green color component called chloroplast. This chloroplast is responsible for the green color of plants and leaves. Once the carbon dioxide and the water reach the chloroplasts in the presence of sunlight, the process of photosynthesis starts to take place. The following reaction takes place in the leaves of the plant during photosynthesis. Carbon dioxide plus water in the presence of light energy results in oxygen plus glucose or carbohydrates. The products formed are glucose and oxygen. Carbohydrates, which are a form of glucose, are synthesized from carbon dioxide and water. Glucose is used by the plants for their growth. Some of the glucose is used immediately, and the extra glucose, which is not used, is stored in the form of starch in the leaves. Some amount of this extra glucose is also stored in the roots of the plants. This extra glucose is used to perform photosynthesis when there is no sunlight. Oxygen is given out into the air through the stomata in the process of photosynthesis. The oxygen that is released is used by human beings to breathe during their respiration process. Ever wondered why this process is called photosynthesis? Well, the word photosynthesis is a combination of two Greek words, photo and synthesis. Photo means light in Greek, and synthesis means putting together or combining. Hence, photosynthesis literally means combining water or carbon dioxide in the presence of light. So the essential factors for photosynthesis to take place include sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide. Underwater photosynthesis takes place at a slower pace than the normal photosynthesis. This is because energy from the sun is absorbed by the water layers and only some amount of energy actually reaches the plant. There are some plants which don't need the process of photosynthesis to grow. Such plants include mushroom, Venus flytraps, etc. Mushrooms get their food from the ground and from their surrounding areas. Venus flytraps trap and catch small insects which come near the leaves and eat them.
How oxygen gas is produced through the process of photosynthesis. The following experiment will help you to understand the evolving of oxygen due to photosynthesis. Evolve means producing. So for this experiment we need some accessories. So what are the things required for the experiment? We need a glass beaker, water, fresh hydrilla plant, a funnel, a test tube, and a glowing matchstick. We can see in the picture that there is a test tube, then there is a beaker, funnel, hydrilla plant, and water. Now fill 2/3 of the beaker with water. Place fresh hydrilla plants in the beaker and cover them with a funnel in a way that the stems of the hydrilla plants stay near the upper end of the funnel tube. So we need to take water inside the beaker. Then inside the funnel there is a fresh hydrilla plant which is kept upside down inside the water of the beaker. Then there will be put a test tube over the upper end of the funnel tube. After that, add more water to the beaker so that the funnel tube completely goes underwater. Now fill in the test tube with water. Close its opening with your thumb and invert the test tube over the funnel. Remove your thumb carefully so that water cannot come out of the test tube. So we need to add more water to the beaker so that funnel tube completely goes underwater, and fill in the test tube with water and close its opening with your thumb and invert the test tube over the funnel and remove your thumb carefully so that water cannot come out of the test tube. Now leave the setup undisturbed in bright sunlight. After some time you will observe gas coming out in the form of bubbles from the hydrilla plant. As gas bubbles are seen to rise and collect in the upper closed part of the test tube, the water level within the test tube goes downward. So we can understand that during photosynthesis process, hydrilla plant perform photosynthesis, and due to photosynthesis process, oxygen gas is produced in plant, and the gas bubbles which are seen inside the test tube, these are gases of oxygen, and these gas bubbles of oxygen are produced due to photosynthesis process, and these gas bubbles go inside the test tube which are seen in the picture, and the water level within the test tube goes downward. When enough gas is collected, carefully remove the test tube covering the open end with your thumb. Now as you place a glowing matchstick in the test tube, it will burst into flames. Why does the glowing stick burst into flame, and what is proved by this? The gas bubbles which are produced from the hydrilla plants, these are oxygen gas. We know that oxygen helps to burn, and in presence of oxygen the glowing matchstick will burst into flame because oxygen helps to flame. And what is proved by this? It proves that the evolving of oxygen due to photosynthesis. In this experiment, hydrilla plant perform photosynthesis, and due to photosynthesis process, oxygen gas is produced, and this oxygen gas is seen in the test tube as gas bubbles, and these gas bubbles will help to burn the glowing matchstick, and in presence of oxygen gas the glowing matchstick burst into flame. So this is the experiment to understand the evolving of oxygen due to photosynthesis. I hope you have understood the experiment of evolving of oxygen due to photosynthesis. Now let's enjoy a video on how plants produce oxygen during photosynthesis process.
In this experiment, we'll demonstrate through a simple experimental setup that gaseous oxygen is evolved as a byproduct during the process of photosynthesis in green plants. To perform this experiment, you'll need the following: a large beaker filled with water, a short-stemmed transparent funnel, a medium-sized test tube of about 20 ml capacity, a few twigs of an aquatic plant such as Hydrilla, Chara, Elodia, etc. To begin the experiment, take a few twigs of the aquatic plant and insert the cut ends of their stems into the tube of the funnel, like so. Quickly but carefully immerse the funnel into the bottom of the beaker containing water, as seen here. Now fill the test tube to the brim with water. Hold the mouth of the tube with your thumb and invert the tube into the beaker and let it sit over the tube of the funnel as shown in the video. The setup is now complete. You may also add a pinch of sodium or potassium bicarbonate into the beaker to kickstart the photosynthesis process. Place the setup in sunlight. A few minutes after exposure to sunlight, you'll notice tiny air bubbles evolving from the cut ends of the stem of the aquatic plant. These air bubbles travel up through the tube of the funnel and eventually collect in the upper end of the test tube. As time passes, more air bubbles collect in the test tube. Leave the setup in sunlight until the test tube is completely filled with the gas. Now carefully remove the test tube from the beaker while covering the mouth of the tube with your thumb. Remove the thumb and immediately introduce a glowing splinter into the test tube. You'll notice that the glowing splinter reignites with a pop sound. This test confirms that the gas produced by the aquatic plant and collected in the test tube is indeed oxygen. This simple experiment thus demonstrates that oxygen is evolved during photosynthesis in green plants.
Let's summarize our today's lesson. What we have learned from today's class. What is terrestrial and submerged plant? Terrestrial plants, the plants which grow on land and they absorb water through their root hair. These are called terrestrial plants. And the submerged plants, the plants which absorb water through their body surface and they grow on inside water. Submerged plants are also called aquatic plants. Then photosynthesis reaction, when carbon dioxide and water react each other to produce glucose and oxygen, that is photosynthesis reaction, and this photosynthesis reaction occurs in the leaves of plant. Plants absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and plants absorb water through their root hair, and when carbon dioxide and water react each other, then glucose and oxygen is produced. Then there are two phases of photosynthesis reactions. One is a dark phase, another one is light or photophase. You will know about this more in higher classes. Then come to the experiment of the evolving of oxygen due to photosynthesis reaction. We have seen that how oxygen gas is evolved during photosynthesis reaction. So I hope you have understood the experiment. Now our feedback session. By asking some questions, we will understand that you have understood today's lessons. First question: how many phases of photosynthesis process? We have learned that what are the phases name? There are two phases of photosynthesis process. These are dark phase and light or photophase. Now question number 2. What is chemical reaction of photosynthesis process? When carbon dioxide react with water, then carbon dioxide plus water H2O, then produce glucose and oxygen. Now let's see the answers. First question answer is two phases, and second question answer is carbon dioxide plus water and produce glucose and oxygen. Carbon dioxide is CO2, water is 2O, and glucose C6H12O6, and oxygen is O2. Now question number 3. Which gas is produced during photosynthesis? What will be the answer? Yes, answer is oxygen gas. We know that oxygen gas is produced during photosynthesis process. Now question number 4. What is the byproduct during photosynthesis process? Answer is oxygen. Oxygen is byproduct which is produced during photosynthesis, and main product is glucose. So answer of question number 3 is oxygen, and question number answer 4 is oxygen. Now question number 5. How terrestrial plants absorb water? What is the answer? Yes, answer is through their root hair. The terrestrial plants absorb water through their root hair. Question number 6. How submerged plants absorb water? What will be the answer? Yes, answer is through their body surface. Submerged plants absorb water through their body surface. Now, question number 7. What helps to trap energy from sunlight? The answer is chlorophyll. Chlorophyll traps energy from sunlight. Now, look at the answers of 5 number through root hair, question number 6 answer through body surface, and 7 answer is chlorophyll. Now, write the related questions in your CW copy from today's lesson. First question, in which type of plants photosynthesis rate is higher? We know that in terrestrial plants grow on land. That's why they get more sunlight than aquatic plants. So in terrestrial plants, photosynthesis rate is higher due to presence of more sunlight. So you have to identify the type of plants at first, then you have to write the reasons. So in terrestrial plants, the photosynthesis rate is higher because of more sunlight, because terrestrial plants get more sunlight than aquatic plants. Now question number 2. How many phases of photosynthesis process? There are 2 phases of photosynthesis process. What are they? These are dark phase and photo or light phase. Now question number 3. Oxygen can be evolved during photosynthesis. Analyze this statement with an experiment. So we already have discussed in this class how oxygen gas is evolved during the process of photosynthesis. So you have to write the experiment with figure, and you have to write the steps that how oxygen gas is evolved during photosynthesis. Now our today's homework number is 22. Learn and write RQ number 3. Oxygen can be evolved during photosynthesis. Analyze this statement with an experiment. So I hope you can write the answer of related question 3 and learn related questions 1, 2 and 3.
So I hope you have enjoyed today's class and you have understood today's lesson and do your homework according to the class. So thank you very much for watching our today's class. Everybody stay well, stay safe. Allah Hafiz.